What if I told you that one of the biggest names in country music today never auditioned for a record label, never packed up his truck and moved to Nashville to chase a dream, and started uploading songs to YouTube from a naval base, with zero promotion, zero budget, and zero industry connections? And what if those songs got so big, so fast, that Nashville had no choice but to come crawling to him? That's the Zach Bryan story, and it's unlike anything the music industry has seen in decades. Zachary Lane Bryan was born in Yokosuka, Japan. His parents were stationed there as part of a U.S. Navy deployment, military life from day one. When Zach was in 8th grade, his family moved to Uloga, Oklahoma, a small town about 30 miles northeast of Tulsa. Population just over 1,000. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone and life moves at its own pace. Music found him early. When he was 14, his father and grandfather bought him a Takamine guitar for his birthday. He started writing songs almost immediately, not performing, not recording, just writing, telling stories, processing the world around him through lyrics. Then, when Zach was 20 years old, his mother, Annette DeAnn, passed away. If you've ever really listened to his music, you already know that loss is woven into every word he writes. She didn't just influence his music, she became the reason for it. Following a deep family tradition, his parents, grandfather, uncles, and great-grandfather had all served. Zach enlisted in the U.S. Navy at 17 years old. He trained as an aviation ordnanceman and served on active duty for 8 years. And in every spare moment he had, he wrote songs. Not to get famous, not to get a record deal, just to feel something, just to hold on. In 2017, while still enlisted, Bryan started uploading his music to YouTube. His friends would record him on his iPhone, performing wherever he could find a quiet moment. Song after song went up with almost no fanfare, but people were listening. The audience was small at first, but it was loyal and it was passionate. The kind of fan base that doesn't just stream a song, they feel it. Then came Heading South. Recorded outside his Navy barracks, filmed on a phone, uploaded without ceremony. It went viral. Within days, it had thousands of views, then tens of thousands. People were sharing it everywhere, asking the same question. Who is this guy, and where has this music been my whole life? The comments weren't just compliments. They were desperate. People saying this song made them cry in their car, that it felt like someone had finally said the thing they had been carrying around for years. Zach Bryan had stumbled into something that Nashville, with all its polish and production, had quietly been losing for a long time. Authenticity. Here's the thing about Nashville, it's a machine. A very effective, very profitable machine. It takes raw talent, runs it through a filter of focus groups and radio formulas, adds the right production sheen, and spits out a product designed to appeal to the widest possible audience. And for decades, that worked. But somewhere along the way, a generation of listeners started to feel the seams. They could hear when something was manufactured. They were hungry for something real. And then here comes this Navy guy from Oklahoma with a phone camera and a worn-out guitar, singing about loss and highways and small-town America like he actually lived it. Because he did. In August 2019, while still serving, Bryan released his debut album DeAnn, named after his late mother. No label, no marketing campaign. He and his friends recorded the entire 12-track album in 48 hours at an Airbnb in Jacksonville, Florida. He later said they genuinely thought it was going to flop. It didn't. It connected deeply and immediately, spreading person to person the way only music that means something truly can. A second independent album, Elisabeth, followed in 2020, named after his then-wife. 2 albums, 0 label support, and a fan base that was growing by the day. By the time the music industry fully realized what was happening, Zach Bryan already had a devoted audience that felt like they had discovered him themselves. And that sense of ownership matters more than any radio push ever could. In October 2021, Bryan announced he had been honorably discharged from the Navy after 8 years of service. He said, "If it was my decision, I would never get out of the world's greatest Navy. But here I am." He signed with Warner Records, but crucially on his own terms, after the leverage had already shifted entirely in his favor. He wasn't a desperate kid begging for a shot. He was an artist with a proven audience who didn't actually need them. His major label debut, American Heartbreak, dropped in May 2022. And it was a triple album. 34 tracks. Nashville doesn't do triple albums. Nashville does 8 to 12 carefully selected tracks engineered for streaming algorithms. Zach Bryan released 34 songs and let people take what they needed from it. The album debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200, not just the country charts, the Billboard 200, and set the year's single-day streaming record on both Spotify and Apple Music. Then came the self-titled album in 2023. It debuted at number 1. It produced I Remember Everything, a duet with Casey Musgraves that hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the Hot Country Songs chart, and the Hot Rock and Alternative Songs chart simultaneously. He won a Grammy. He sold out stadiums. He did all of this without ever compromising the raw, unfiltered sound that made a stranger cry in her car over a YouTube video years earlier. So what's the actual lesson here? What did Zach Bryan figure out that Nashville missed? He understood that in the streaming era, gatekeepers have lost most of their power. You no longer need a label to distribute music, manufacture hype, or get your songs in front of people. What you need is a reason for people to care. And that reason has to be real. Audiences today are extraordinarily good at detecting performance. They can smell a persona that was constructed in a boardroom, and they reject it. Zach Bryan didn't craft an image. He didn't hire a team to develop his brand. He just kept writing the most honest songs he could write, recording them however he could manage, and putting them out into the world. The audience did the rest. They became evangelists. They shared his music the way you share something personal. Not because an algorithm pushed it, but because it meant something to them and they wanted the people they loved to feel it too. There's also something to be said about timing. Country music had drifted far into pop territory, and a whole generation of fans felt left behind. They missed storytelling. They missed grit. They missed music that felt like it came from a real place rather than a writing session designed to manufacture a hit. Zach Bryan arrived exactly when that hunger was at its peak. He also never pretended to be something he wasn't. He's been candid about his grief, his flaws, his complicated feelings about fame itself. That vulnerability doesn't push people away, it pulls them in. Because everyone is carrying something. And when an artist names it, even imperfectly, it creates a connection that no amount of marketing budget can buy. Nashville didn't lose to Zach Bryan because he was some kind of genius strategist. He wasn't playing chess while they played checkers. He was barely playing the game at all. He was just a kid from Oklahoma who lost his mom too young, served his country for 8 years, and wrote songs about the way life actually feels.